I'll test it out in here, see how it works. Okay, good afternoon, all two of us. So, just waiting for it to load here on the computer. Oh, we're coming live. Let's make sure the sound works. Oh, we're coming live. All right, we're good.
How much of a delay is there?
It's probably like 10 seconds.
Nice.
Just in case, like
something bad happens.
Yeah, in case we pull out a pistol to each other.
Yeah.
All right, so for anyone just tuning in and anyone watching, my name is Dansaturner. This is episode 3 of the podcast. Today, I'm lucky to have with me Evan Wiens.
Hey.
Oh, hello, Evan.
How's it going?
Say hello to the whole internet.
Hey, everybody.
So I've known Evan since probably grade 8. He went to the local elementary school around the corner from me. I went to Colonel John Butler. He went to Virgil Public School right around the corner. And I don't know. I feel like I kind of knew of you for a while before then. And then through the adventures of biking around with Simon Wall, we were able to meet. And so I mean, just we were kind of talking before about what you're up to today. You're a big musician. You were jamming out with some friends earlier today. I know I had it as one of the questions on here, but are you part of any bands right now?
Yeah, well, the band that I was jamming with today is called Holidays. And that's Stuart Smith's band, Kyle McVicker and John Raymond. And those guys, one of them went to Eden, another guy I met just through the other two. That's pretty fun.
Some St. Catherine's boys.
Yeah, it's like psychedelic, kind of like surf rock, indie rock.
Kind of like a Tame Impala kind of sound.
Yeah, it's in the realm. Kind of like Dive, Tame Impala, King Gizzard, stuff like that.
Is there like a link, or like do you guys have it on SoundCloud? Is that a thing? Spotify?
I think they might have SoundCloud, but I know they have it on Bandcamp. I just don't actually know the URL. I think it's like Holidays. It's spelled funny. It's HOLODAIS, kind of like hollandaise sauce.
I'm just going to make a note now for people who are watching at a later time. We'll add on that URL in there for anyone who wants to check out Holidays. Holidays.
But I'm just kind of filling in for those guys. Like, they've been going at it for a little longer. In my band that I was in for a few years, we recently disbanded. So it's kind of freed me up to work with a few different projects.
Yeah, like because you were in the Kerouacs is what you're referring to. Mm-hmm. So when did the Kerouacs start?
Kerouacs started 10 months before I joined, and that would have been in 2012, around then, 2011, 2012. So we would have been in like grade 12 when that was happening.
And so what was like the best experience you had with that band? Because I know you definitely did a tour, at least one tour. I think you did 2 or 3 all the way up to the East Coast, like out to PEI and Halifax and all that. And did you guys also tour over to the West Coast?
Yeah, so we did the East Coast 2. We might have actually done, I think we did it 3 times. And then West Coast once. And that one was kind of a doozy.
Is it true that the West Coast is the best coast?
I wouldn't say so. The West Coast is pretty cool, but I think the East Coast is a lot less overwhelming. It's very laid back and like
it's more room to like stretch.
Yeah. It's really fun. There's some really cool stuff out in Cape Breton. Like the mountains there are not as big, but they're very grassy and fun.
Well, it's not always about size. Sometimes it's about how grassy it is out there.
How they use them.
Well, so when you went out there, did you sleep in a van?
Yep, and on a van, on the roof of the van.
And how many people were in that van, or on the van, around the van?
So the first time we went out there, we were actually in 2 cars, 2 separate. One was like a minivan actually, and then a car. And there was probably about 11 of us, 10 or 11 of us, between 2 different bands. We were touring with Big Lonely at the time. And that was pretty funny. Like there was no room in the vans. It was a nightmare. We had hammocks and tents with us. And there's a lot of nights that we slept outside or in Walmart parking lots. And I usually slept on the roof of the van. But then the second time we went out, Wilson came with us. So there was 5 of us.
For Wilson Zachary Fott, if you're listening, hello. How's Australia doing? We miss you. Come back home.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Well, like, was it ever like really cold that night? I know you went in the summertime usually, right?
Yeah. Those tours weren't too bad, but in grade 12, we toured just Ontario for like a week, and it was like snowing, and that was pretty brutal because we were sleeping in parking lots and in the bed of the truck, and we were all crammed with our gear, and it's pretty awful.
I guess it's a good thing to do that in Canada because like at least people are pretty friendly here. Like I feel like even a robber would be like, oh, I'll go rob someone else. You guys are already living in a van.
Yeah, they're sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah, if you were in like, I don't know, sorry for people in Nicaragua, I'm sure it's probably not as friendly as Canada. You might get your shoes stolen down there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there any link to the Kerouacs? Like, do you guys have like a SoundCloud or something? Like, I want to be able to kind of give back and try to share any of that kind of stuff. So,
We have Spotify and Apple Music for free streaming. And then we have Bandcamp, which is just Kerouacs, so Kerouacs. It's kind of a tricky name spell.
yeah, no, we'll add it on there after.
It's named after the author Jack Kerouac, who wrote a bunch of like avant-garde like beat poems and
Where was
novels.
he from?
I don't know.
Do you know what era he was from?
Yeah, he's from like the 50s.
That was a good era for poems.
Yeah, he was just like a hitchhiker. He's friends with like Allen Ginsberg and a bunch of those guys. I read a bunch of that sort of like beat poetry stuff, but I don't really read that much anymore.
Yeah, no, I know it's tough reading these days. Everything's just in podcast form nowadays for some reason.
I listen a lot.
Yeah. Well, for those who are watching at home, we decided today to have a few beers to see if it kind of changes this, makes it more interesting. I mean, for those who are watching live right now, anything could happen with this beer. Or the next ones that we have. We have Pabst Blue Ribbon for those who love Pabst. We have Guinness for those classic Dubliners out there. And if there's any Germans watching, we did end up getting some Dab as well. So
it's a big kahuna. It owns 7% alcohol.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes after we get the Dab in. I'm sure it'll be a little more interesting. Okay, so I want you to tell me about this project you've been working on for a few years called True Wonders Forever.
Oh, yeah. So True Wonders Forever was started by myself and my cousin Simon Wall, who will probably be on the show at some point.
We're hoping to have him in on Thursday.
Yeah, so the two of us in high school, we were really into like communist and like Marxist ideas and stuff like that. And we would wear shirts around the school as a uniform school. We had little hammer and sickle shirts we wear. And so we started this like alternative news page, which would basically just like have all these like conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And just like misguided facts. And our like logo was an alien who's like, the idea was this alien whose name is Ahmeda would like give us the information to write these things. It's not real, but
it's a lot of fake news.
Yeah. So we have this like mascot, this alien mascot, and all of a sudden all these guys from India started liking our page and like following our news. So
shout out to India.
Yeah. Thanks for the attention, the support. So they started following all our posts and they loved it. They were like, "Oh, I didn't know this was like real." Like, yeah, and we're like, "Yeah,
you know, North America's so interesting."
Yeah, and then one day, this one guy, I forget his name, but he commented and he's like, "This is not real. Like the things you write here isn't real." And we took his picture and we posted it as the next True Wonder article. And just like trash talking him. It wasn't very nice, but like we didn't say anything like personal about him. We just said funny stuff and then just blocked him from the page. It was pretty funny.
Did he end up getting a chance to comment on the post you put up?
No, he sent us a private message and we were like, "Sorry, man." Like,
I mean, you should be honored to be on True Wonders Forever.
Yeah.
Didn't it used to be called True Wonders and then you added the Forever?
It was.
It going.
It was True Wonders, and then we came back from hiatus and we said that we were just gonna like stop doing it unless we got 15 likes on our post. And we didn't. We got 4 likes on our post. So I'd like to thank Trevor Cook, Rudy Hidvari, Simon Wall, who's an admin, and Craig Lowen for being the 4 people who liked that post.
Keeping it alive, keeping it forever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I can't wait to have Simon on here because, like, do you ever remember? It was a few years ago. There was that Facebook account that our friend Shane Smith made, or at least he used it the most. And we made this is like before Russia ever got involved in making like fake bots or anything like that online and making like fake accounts. But that there was this female account that we made, and our friend Shane took the account and started talking to some guy online, and ended up I guess basically breaking up a marriage because they found out that I guess he checked the messages a few years later after he was flirting with this guy pretending to be this girl online, and the guy, the husband, was like, "Yeah, like, so my wife left me, wondering if you wanted to go for that date we were talking about." And then there were several other messages like, "You there? No, okay." And so like when I first heard that, I was like, "Oh my god, like we're monsters, like how dare we?" But the more I thought about it, the more I realized like, no, this guy's a cheater. He was going to cheat on his wife.
Yeah, he would have landed himself in that exact position without Shane's help or anything.
Yeah, and it's better that it was with a fake person than a real person, I guess.
because it just saves that person, like the extra person's despair.
Yeah,
through the whole situation.
The other man or the other woman who
Yeah.
just got spared and all that nonsense. But yeah, so the internet's a tricky tool. Can be used a lot of fun different ways.
Well, there's like that one time on the bus. Those a few of us had we all had like fake accounts back in the day, and a couple of us had this one account, and it was like this. I can't remember who started the account. It wasn't me. I only used it like once. No, it wasn't that one. I forget the name, but she was like a 12-year-old or something like that. And this guy was like trying to talk to her. So
you got to expose a pedophile.
Yeah, basically. So our buddy, we were sitting on the bus riding home from school, and with Spencer. Spencer is one of the characters
Miller.
involved. Yeah, okay, we'll use his last name.
Okay. Spencer Muhammad.
Yeah, it was me, him, and Simon sitting on the bus, and I remember they're talking to this guy. He starts saying really gross stuff, and then just as it's like getting like a little too,
not PG-13.
Yeah,
starting to get 18A.
Yeah, he wanted some pictures or something like that, and so we sent a picture of the three of us sitting on the bus for jokes from the boys, and the guy was so rattled, just no response, just awesome. Deleted us, blocked us. It was really funny.
Yeah, I mean, I like to hope that you discourage that guy a little bit, but he's probably just on to the next group of kids.
He's probably thinking like, oh man, close call.
Yeah, maybe I'll stop my life of crime and I'll go join the force or something. I don't know.
Yeah, my biggest regret in that situation is not reporting him because I didn't know anything at the time. I was like,
you were a kid. You were under 18.
Pranked him.
Yeah. So now I just got a list of a few quick questions I just want to ramble through. So if you were the mayor of Niagara-on-the-Lake or the Lord Mayor of Niagara-on-the-Lake, what would you want to do? What would you want to change or keep the same? I mean, what would you want to enhance? Does anything come to mind? If not, we can always come back to it.
Satellite parking.
You want to be able to park satellite dishes and wherever you want.
No, I'm just kidding.
Only horse carriages all throughout the town. No cars.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be cool. I think
free honey for everyone. Yeah, Mayor B.
I don't know what I would do differently. I really do like the town, and I'm working for the town. I'm starting working for the town next week.
Yeah. So don't want to do anything to rock the boat.
Yeah, I can't really say anything about that for my own sake.
We both love the town.
I know.
The town is our savior.
I'd like to privatize a few beaches just for locals because the other day, last summer.
Well, that was another day.
Yeah, it was another day. Last summer, me and Simon, a name that will probably be commonly mentioned in this podcast, we were hanging out down our favorite spot, the beach. And there's a whole family, 50 people, tourists from, I don't know, somewhere else.
From Idaho, let's say.
Yeah, they're all from Idaho, and they all got accents.
All from Idaho. They all brought their potatoes down with them.
That was a muscle spasm. That's why I said it wrong. And there's 50 people there and kids, and they're screaming and running around. And we just wanted to hang out and go for a swim and listen to music and have beer. And they were awful. They just ruined our entire day. And it's getting that more and more. So I don't know. The tourism is good because we need it, but at the same time, it kind of ruins everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I ran for mayor, one of the things that I wanted that I said to a lot of people is I wanted to make this town for the residents first and then the tourists second.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand fully that we need to have tourism in this area in order for us to achieve and maintain the level of economic prosperity that we have here. But I mean, enough is enough. I mean, you have to be able to, like you said, have those areas that are made for those who are here year round to enjoy. So I mean, that would be interesting if there was a possibility to take one of the parks and make it into something for locals only. But I have no idea how we'd be able to enforce that.
It's kind of inclusive. That's the problem. It's I don't know how you do it.
If we could hire our friend Shane Smith to be out there and maintain it as a club and have Shane be the guy to take everyone's card and make sure that their address says Niagara. And I don't know, you have to have a system in place where it's everyone that has a valid driver's license of Niagara-on-the-Lake is able to have X amount of people with them.
They can scan.
Yeah.
Or they get little chips implanted in their hands.
Yeah, it's 2019. Yeah, we have that technology. We can do it. So yeah, if Shane Smith's listening right now, we need your help for this initiative. Now, a complete U-turn. What's the meaning of life?
The meaning of life? Well, it's reproduction. No, I'm just kidding. I don't believe that.
Before we get into this, do you want your next beer?
Yes, please.
All right. So we're on to the dab for those Germans.
I hear that's a pretty big question. The meaning of life.
Yeah, it's always changing too.
I don't think it's our responsibility to know what the meaning of life is. I think that will be revealed. We're only living in I don't know, one dimension. We only have access to like 3 dimensions, right, out of however many exist.
And infinite.
I don't know. And I definitely believe in a higher power and that, or in a design and some sort of force of nature or space that is, I don't know,
Forceful.
yeah, that's forceful and powerful.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like I don't know. So I think science and psychology, they definitely like clash a lot. They try to help each other. They clash a lot, and like spirituality. All those 3 things are very separate, like very different from each other. And you can't really use one to fully disprove or support another. You know. So
yeah. Do you believe in evolution?
I'm not. I don't think that it's not real. There's the reason why I don't. I believe in adaptation. I'll say that because we haven't actually seen a change of species. Like at least I've never, like I've heard people
in our lifetime, definitely not.
Yeah, but like we don't have any like exact fossil evidence of a change of species. We have adaptation, but I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Like I don't know.
So so with that in mind, to say that you haven't seen those adaptations, that means that you're assuming that all these species that we have found records of were all at one point living at the same time. Because then
no, I don't think that. I think things slowly. I don't know. I mean, things can develop. I don't think that like I'll just go straight to the big like I don't think that something like Genesis, which is kind of like seems like folklore, I think that it's also misinterpreted a lot, and like a lot of creation stories seem to be either misinterpreted or just like pretty out there. But if you look at in Genesis the creation of things, it happens in the exact same order as the creation of, or the span of evolution. The actual translation to my knowledge, for each day that things were created is an unspecified block of time in the Hebrew language.
Right.
And a lot of people are like 7 days, and like it doesn't really matter though. That's irrelevant. Like that information is just kind of background knowledge.
Yeah, because didn't they say that the sun was built on like the 3rd day or something, or that light was there on the 3rd and 4th day? But then what's a day if you don't have a sun to actually like rotate around the planet?
That's why it's like blocks of time. It's kind of like changes. Like I don't know, and I don't think that's our responsibility to know because we can't really determine that. So
yeah, not yet at least.
Yeah.
Unless we got a time machine or something.
So yeah, and I definitely think that I don't know, a lot of people from like all different kinds of spiritual backgrounds or religious backgrounds or non-religious backgrounds think that there is like something like beyond what we see, and I think that that's a really fair thing to come to because we are humans are like some of the smartest beings on the planet, of course.
So yeah, dolphins got us. But
yeah, they're pretty smart.
Orcas are pretty smart. Those dumb idiots.
They can't. They don't sing vocal cords, so they can't talk like us. But if they could, they'd probably have some interesting stories.
Well, I'm sure they'd have a piece of their mind for us.
Yeah, but
why are you flushing those things down the toilet? You know that's my home.
I'm losing my train of thought now. Something about humans being smart. Oh, I don't think humans have the capacity to understand ultimate reality. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So I can see why people believe different things, and I understand where people are coming from, even if I don't agree with them.
Yeah, I mean, I always like looking at I love studying different religions and seeing how so many of them have just like such common frameworks. Like when it comes down to like don't kill other people is like common amongst almost all of them.
Yeah.
Religions that have like survived to today, because religions that said killing people is good didn't last too long because everyone died. But yeah, so the religions that have lasted from the beginning of time to today, things like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, things like that, they all pretty much have the same framework that says, just don't be an asshole. Like be as nice as you can. Don't cheat on your spouse. Don't kill anyone. Don't rob anyone.
Yeah, and I feel like all those things are there for your own benefit too. Like if you follow those laws, like you'll probably have a better life because you won't be thinking about. You'll have peace of mind. Just like relax and enjoy your life and be nice to each other. But like the funny thing about those 3 religions, and I'll use the word religion because they're definitely organized religion. All 3 of them come from like an Abrahamic background. Like they stem from a very like similar or if not the same origin story, which is why there's so much conflict. And it's interesting that those are the most dominant in the world.
Yeah, that have lasted till today.
Yeah, whereas you look at other cults, like even like Greek cult, and I would consider all those religions a cult because like Christianity is a cult. Like by definition, a cult is a group of people who all follow one entity or one being or like one set of ideals.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think it's a negative word at all.
No. I remember hearing this one thing that said like the difference between a religion and a cult is that the person who started the following, started like those beliefs in a religion is dead, but in a cult is still alive. Like is like that main person, and like that's like the only definition or the only like change in the definition.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, how do we want to define cult? Like, it is like a following of people that are part of a group that have like similar beliefs, basically.
Yeah.
Well, like, it's interesting that back in the day, like, let's say go 300 plus years before the present day, and the main laws that were governing people were religion. Like, even like a king was thought of to be like basically like the Pope is today, like to be like the like that person between God and everyone else, and that like it was those laws, like those commandments, were what like dictated like how people behave, how they act, and then as time went by, people became a little more skeptical. I feel like as time went by, you had more civilizations coming in contact with each other because technology allowed this.
Globalization.
Like, yeah. So now people were riding horses, people were having carriages, people were building roads, people were using ships to get across the world. And as soon as you come in contact with another religion, you start to question your own. Like, do you remember the first time that you remember hearing there's another religion?
I don't remember. I just knew there were. Like, I think I've always been exposed to like different, like my grandfather, my Opa, I'll call him, that's what he is. But he was exposed to a lot of different religions. He lived in South America because they were refugees during World War II, so they actually escaped Russia. And they couldn't go to Germany because the Germans didn't trust them because Mennonites wouldn't fight. So they're Mennonites. They wouldn't fight because they're pacifists.
In the World War II?
Yeah. So they couldn't be in either of those parties' territory, so they left. Like, and it was pretty sketchy. Like, he was actually born in China. And he ended up in South America, where my dad was born also. And he said there's like all kinds of stuff going, all kinds of different religions going to like, or that were there, occupying that area. And so I've always heard like kind of what other things are up to, and I've studied like indigenous spirituality, and I've looked into other religions. I find it really fascinating. In Greek mythology, other religions. Where is I going with this?
Well, we're talking about like the first time that you heard that another religion exists. Like, because I remember, like, I was raised Catholic, like was confirmed as a Catholic, had my first communion and all that, those big ceremonies. And I remember finding out like in public school, I think it was probably around Christmas time, that like, oh, like everyone here is not Catholic, like there's other religions beyond that. And then I started to kind of ask, like, why is that? Like, at first I thought like it's just like how there's other languages that exist, that like, oh, it must just be that they started from some other place in the world and it all means the same thing. But then you realize like, oh wait, no, this is different, or oh, that's different.
Yeah.
And then I feel like that's when you first start to say, hey, maybe my religion isn't the religion, or like, because there's in so many religions, I always had this thought that like, if you believe in our religion the way that things are, the way that things actually like should be in the universe, then you'll go to heaven. And then I always had this question, like, but what about like Jimmy down the street who's like, Jewish? Like, like, is he going to go to hell? Yeah. Is it like, are we all? And then at that point, I was like, well, he probably thinks the same thing as me. And then it's like we're all betting on these horses, and these horses are like saying, like,
just running.
If your well, if your horse wins, you go to heaven, and if your horse loses, and it turns out that you should have bet on the other horse, the other religion, then you could have gone to heaven, but now you're going to spend eternity in hell, or
because you're not part of the other religion.
Yeah,
I think that's something that's really blown out of proportion within a lot of religions. I think religion is actually really harmful. I think spirituality is a big difference. Like, they're totally different. Like, organized religion can be like very damaging, especially
be very positive though. I mean,
it can be, because it can take a group of people and make them feel like secure with each other, and just like everyone loves each other.
Yeah,
it's
just
like
have that common sense of community.
Yeah, but I think that like at the end of the day, it's up to like where you are with like, I'm not saying like everyone has their own truth. Like, that's like a very common thing that people throw around nowadays. Everyone has their own truth. It's like, yeah, but sometimes I believe things that just aren't true, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like,
and I think that's great, but at the end of the day, like, it might not be like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example.
Well,
smoking pot is not bad for
your
lungs.
Yeah, like there's lots of things that can be detested either way. Like, look at the environment. How like you can have 99% of scientists saying that global warming is a real like human caused threat to civilization, but then you can still have 1% of people out there who
have tons of money and are like, this is not real.
Like, I have a lot of money invested in oil stocks, so maybe I should probably go out there and say that climate change might not be real.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like it's the same thing with looking at like vaccines, whether they cause autism or not, whether you should get your kids vaccinated or not. It doesn't matter the percentage of people that are on one side or the other, but even if there's one person on the other side, that's enough to get a huge group of people to that side of the argument. Like, I feel like humans by nature, we're just very polarizing. And like, I mean, that's kind of how we've been able to move forward to where we are today, is that there's always been like this allowance of debate. And like, that's part of our human nature, is wanting to always kind of debate to move forward.
And like competition, like we love competition.
Yeah. People like to be like, what's the word? Contrarians, like to always be like that person who is different on the other side. So like, I feel like there's some people who will just automatically be like, well, maybe not, just because, you know, look at me.
Play the devil's advocate.
Yeah, like, you know, if there's so many people crowded at one side of the room, they might say, hey, you know, I want some special attention. I'm going to say that I believe this crazy thing, even if they might not really believe it.
Yeah, like the Pastafarian, that's like a common example, but like the Flying Spaghetti Man. You know, they're
the
like
flying spaghetti monster.
They're like, yeah. They're like, why can't I like do this? It's like part of my religion, right? And we have religious rights. They're like trying to, I forget what it was, but they're trying to like get away with doing things and like for religious reasons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I look at it from like an economic point of view, and I think like, well, what if I said that my house was a church and I just happen to live at my church?
Had tons of people over.
Yeah, and I just have tons of people over all the time. We have parties, and I say, you know, we're allowed to have a party because we fall under the same legislation as any other like church or any other kind of religious institution. And so you can just do whatever you want all the time and not pay taxes is the biggest thing. So imagine if I said that, I was like, I'm going to just start my own religion. And you know how the laws are just extremely liberal when it comes to that you can say that
benefit of the doubt. And they're just like,
yeah, like, you know, I am part of the church of cup or glass. Like, then we worship the glasses. Like if you break a glass, we all take a moment and say Opa or, you know, something like that. And so I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Like if you can get into like Scientology and how is it that the Church of Scientology, like Church of Scientology, whatever you want to call it, owns something like $1 billion worth of like real estate, and they have the advantage of not having to pay so many different types of taxes. Like I don't know, it depends on which province or state you're in or whatever country you're in, but that they're able to expand their empire so fast and so wide because they don't have these same restrictions that like a company would have if they wanted to buy real estate and things like that. And this kind of brings us to the point of how like religion could be used as just a tool, which I think
it definitely is. I think it's well, if you look at how Catholicism actually like started, like so after Christ, like the word Christian wasn't a word. Like Christianity was not a religion. It was like there were a bunch of people following this person who believed what he was saying, like his teachings. And it wasn't until Emperor Constantine was in power that he was like, we're going to make Christianity, or like, which became Catholicism. He's like, we're going to make this like the legal, because it used to be outlawed you to get killed. Like
where was Constantine from?
He was a Roman emperor.
Okay.
So yeah. So he made it like Rome's religion, you know, and that's when it became a business. Like, so you have like these massive castles, like palaces, castles. You know, these massive churches being like built with tons of gold, tons of like ornaments, and like all the money was going in there. And then the people in the church were looking after the money, and they invented this new thing where which isn't in scriptures, like or the Dead Sea, like any of those like old scriptures. They invented this thing where you have to go to a guy and tell him your sins for them to be forgiven. They added that, which seems to be like a power sort of, like, I don't mean to like bash Catholicism or anything, but like it just became this like whole system that was like very like business oriented, and they knew what they were doing, and they used it to basically control people. And that's kind of like the faith system that is kind of more widespread across the world. And I think that a lot of religions kind of do that. They use it as like a way, I don't know, it's like a money making scheme, or like we are better than you kind of like they take pride in it. And I don't think they know they're doing it necessarily.
Some of them, a lot of, I feel like the followers don't, but I feel like it takes one, because the thing is, the religion, it's not led by God. It's not led by like some supreme being. It's led by people. Yeah. And
that's the main problem.
You know what it's like to be a person. We all have flaws. And so you can have the person at the head of the organization might have a bad day and say, you know, like, screw that other religion. They made me look, like they embarrassed me. They said something that contradicts what I teach. So, you know, hell with them. So I'm going to, you know, try to do what I can to run them out of business, or like to try to like get more people from their camp to my camp. And like that's another thing. Like it's only the religions that have said that they have a mission to bring more people to their religion are the ones that have survived to today. Because all the religions that said, no, we're going to let you do your thing, we're just going to do our thing, they didn't survive.
Really died out.
Yeah. That's nature, that over time, those are the ones that aren't going to last because they don't have that mission to proliferate. But the ones that constantly do, I mean, like, why is Jehovah's Witness still a thing? It's because it's like
because they go door to door.
Yeah, they are the biggest marketers. Like, honestly, you should get someone from Jehovah's Witness. They don't call it a church, a hall. To like, they should do marketing campaigns for people. Like, hey, you want to sell your toilet plunger door to door? Well, we'll teach you how to do it. Like, make sure you wear a really nice suit. Make sure you go at a really unfortunate time.
And wear those sunglasses that turn dark in the sun.
Yeah, those transition shades. Yeah. That'll get people buying their plungers. But
that's just stereotype.
Yeah. But yeah, here's an interesting story. So back to like how religions have kind of like humans have like been able to take certain religions and turn them into a business. So my great grandpa, so my mom's dad, at one point in time was living at a church. So churches for long time in history, and I'm sure a lot of churches still today will do this for people who are like unfortunate who don't have a place to stay. They'll allow them to like stay and like sleep in the church halls or wherever. Sometimes they have like bedrooms and everything for them. So my great grandpa, he was living in one of these churches in Italy, and I can't remember which holiday it was. It was one of like they have like a celebration for a lot of different saints in Italy, and the whole street will just be filled with people, and they'll have a parade. And so during the parade, they have different floats come by that have different saints on them that are going through the parade. And what happens is people throw money onto the floats, and it's kind of like throwing a nickel into like a wishing well or whatever into a fountain, and they say it's going to answer their prayers if they throw it onto there. So at the end of the day, they're all back and they're all counting the money after the parade. And I guess some of the priests were saying like, oh man, we should have put Saint Rosalia or put some other saints up there. We
would make more money.
Yeah, like we would have got more money. And like it was that moment that my great grandpa was like, wow, like okay, religion is just a business. But again, like I don't want to disrespect any religion. I mean, religion's a very important thing for the sense of community, for people being able to have something that keeps them from just worrying at night that they're gonna just die and that's gonna be it. There's gonna be black forever. But that's when he realized that religion as it stands today there's a big threat that humans are going to be able to just corrupt that and turn it into a business for their needs. Like, I don't know if those priests were just worrying about their food for tomorrow, which is, a little more justifiable, or thinking, can I get more gold in my palace or anything like that?
Well, there's always been that sort of divide between people who actually believe in like a faith system or something like that. And then there's the people who are controlling it. Like, even if you look in like the Bible, you've got like the heads of the church who are the direct enemies of Jesus, right? Who ended up crucifying him, right? Like, and the people, like, they had all the money, right?
Pontius Pilates, what was his name?
Pharisee. Oh, Pilate
Pilates.
Pilates.
Yeah.
Pontius, like Chris Pontius.
Yes. Yeah. Shout out to Chris
from Jackass.
From Jackass.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. I can talk about that kind of stuff forever, but we don't have to keep going.
Well, I'm gonna have you back to talk about that some more.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, what was the name of your brother Bennett's like fashion line that he started?
Oh yeah, Worn Out brand. Shout out to Worn Out.
Shout out to Worn Out brand. So when did your brother start doing this? Because like you're both very artistic. Like, I don't know if it's the Wiens gene or whatever your mom's maiden name is, Gene
Workington.
Or Workington?
Yeah.
It could be the Workington gene. Is your dad an artistic guy?
It's a combo. Yeah. I remember finding a picture of my parents like screen printing their own t-shirts together when they were still dating.
Oh.
Pretty cool. Yeah, they're both pretty artistic. My mom is a choir director and can play like flute and a bunch of stuff, like piano. My dad plays synthesizer, and
so they're both musically inclined. Maybe is that what brought them together?
I think they met at a summer camp, and I don't know. I don't know. My dad, pretty cool dude, I guess. My mom's pretty cool.
You know what a CB radio is?
No.
So CB radio is that thing that everyone had in their car like 20, 30 years ago. and like it's what truckers use to like talk to other truckers, like they
Oh,
pull
okay,
down
yeah,
like,
yeah.
those wires.
Like in what's it called?
Smoking the Bandit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those CB radios, people used to have them in their house too, just like in their living room or whatever, and they just hear what the news is on the road or what's going on. So my mom actually like met my dad indirectly through a CB radio.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. So my mom lived just down the street at my grandma's house. She was just hanging out, sitting on the CB radio. Her and her brother used to be on it all the time. And she met this girl on the CB radio. And the girl that she met, that she ended up meeting up with and saying like, hey, let's go rollerblading or whatever. They end up meeting up. And then that girl brought her cousin, who was my dad. And so through technology, my parents met, which is kind of funny. Like way before Tinder, way before Facebook,
technology was like
before the internet,
dominating the dating world.
Yeah, to think that they were still able to, like, that was probably like, I don't know. There was no online dating, but I don't know if there was a video dating yet at that point where people would like record themselves and send it into like a company and like
on like a film reel.
Yeah.
It's
So
like radio dating.
yeah, so I thought that's
cool,
kind of funny. And like, I don't know, there's probably a lot of kids out there right now that were born off of like a Tinder date. So, you know, you wouldn't be here without it, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for CB radios. So thank you, CB radios, I guess, for bringing me to the third planet from the sun.
Nice.
But yeah, back to what we were talking about Bennett. When did he get into like starting to the graphic design and things like that?
He started. I don't know. Both of us have always like drawn and stuff. So I go to Maryland I Walker for Brock,
like the art center.
For art, and so in my second year, Bennett got accepted, and so he's been doing that. I kind of took my time, so now he's only a year behind me. So the two of us have been in a lot of like crossover classes, which is pretty fun. We'll be in like the same class together, working on like projects together. And he's been doing like a lot of Photoshop. He's more into the tech savvy side, like the actual like kind of
Photoshop,
the stuff that'll make you money.
On Paint and stuff.
Yeah. I play on Paint. He uses Photoshop. I use Microsoft Paint. And yeah, he's been doing that for a few years, and he's pretty good at it. Like, yeah, but him and his buddy Justin, they just decided we're just gonna make some T-shirts.
Justin Bertone.
Yeah, he's a really funny guy.
Shout out to Justin Bertone.
Yeah, he's awesome. I like Justin a lot. I have a really funny story about Justin. I hope it's okay that I share it.
Is it the bank story? I think I let it
it's
out.
a really good story. So, Justin Bertone is working at the local bank. I'm gonna say the name of the bank. It's called TD Bank. If you've ever heard of it, and so he's a teller at TD Bank, and so there's a bunch of the offshore workers from Jamaica are hanging out there, and they're taking money out of the ATM. This one guy comes up, and he told me this story, so hopefully it's true because I can repeat it.
It could be completely fake.
It could be not real
for
at all.
lawyer's sake. Yep, but we're gonna say it anyways.
Yeah. This is good.
You're good.
Okay,
The
cool.
disclaimer's over. Lawyers are in bed.
So Justin's working at the bank, and this guy comes up, one of the offshore workers, and he's like, "Hey, can I borrow this pen?" And Justin's like, "Yeah, like go for it. It's for the customers." And so he takes the pen and he goes up to his buddy who's at the ATM and he pulls it out. He shanks him in the neck, and the guy's just like,
"What are your old shanking buddies?"
Yeah, it's brutal. And like he just stabs him in the neck, and they all just start kicking him and beating on him. Like all the Jamaicans start kicking on.
Why did they end up doing that? Didn't he stole or something?
Yeah. So what happens? So like they all leave, whatever. The cops get called. They don't even leave. They stay in the parking lot, just hanging out. And the guy comes back who's been stabbed. He comes back.
He's like bleeding like crazy at this point.
Out of his neck, or like maybe a little bit, bleeding a little bit, or like a lot. I don't know. And he comes back to Justin. And he's like, "Oh, I'll clean it up. Like, sorry." And it turns out that this guy had been using people's debit cards and taking their money out to buy like iPods and stuff. But all of them had set their bank pins as their birthdays.
So he knew what.
So he knew all their birthdays,
right? Because they probably all moved at the same day. They just like, oh, I have no idea. I have no idea about Jamaica, but maybe they don't have bank cards back home. So.
Yeah, and if they do, it'd be different than our bank card. Or, I don't know. They probably had to get new bank cards because they're working.
Jamaica.
Yeah, only. Yeah. Anyways, really funny story. So. And he also got an award for customer service. He was like top
for diffusing so many bloody situations.
Yeah, any kid who will give a shank to a guy at a bank is definitely the best for customer service.
I just can't imagine him coming home that day to his mom. Like, "So how was work today, honey?" "Well, I gave a pen to a guy and he used it as a shank and stabbed some other guy in the neck. So I was an accomplice of a crime, kind of indirectly."
It's pretty funny. And like customers like kept using the bank, like because it's Virgil, stuff like that doesn't often happen.
There's not a single other TD in the entire town. You got to
No.
go to the one that people get shanked at. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it's a sketchy town.
And if there's cops and a whole bunch of dudes standing in the parking lot, like
what
you're
else
just
you gonna
have
do?
to walk past them.
You just gotta wait. You gotta say what's cooking.
So that's a good story. That's not mine.
Oh man, I still have so much that I want to go through. I mean, we're already 40 minutes in, but so do you want to spend the rest of your life in Niagara-on-the-Lake, or like do you want to go elsewhere? Or, like, what's your thoughts at this point?
I love Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Well, I love it too. It's the best town in the entire world.
Yeah, I like traveling and I like going around. Going around.
Well, that kind of relates to I have another question. Like, where's the coolest place you've traveled to?
The coolest place I've traveled to. I've only done the States and Canada, but I've done like all of Canada. So, and enough of the States that I kind of get the idea.
Yeah,
but I'd like to do
America,
more. Yeah. I'd like to do more though. I definitely want to go to the West Coast in the States and see some deserts. Maybe Florida. I haven't been to Florida.
Really?
Yeah, my parents never did the Disneyland thing.
Well, I mean, my grandma right now has a place in Florida, so
Okay.
I mean that's still an option next winter.
That'd be fun.
People that want to go to Florida, hit me up and figure out a big old plan. But
Bike ride down there.
yeah, no, we'll drive there and then we'll take longboards probably and boarding around.
Okay.
Be cool to try surfing down there. I'm surprised I haven't yet. But today I was driving home from work and I saw there was a license plate in front of me and it didn't recognize what it was. I was like, what the heck? Look closer. It was from Yukon, and like, I was like, who the hell drives here from Yukon? Like, take a bus, take a plane.
That's brutal
take a train,
too, because you
anything.
can't even go like this. Like you have to go down. You can't go like this. You have to go like down and over. So it's like the longest trip.
I don't know. Like, I guess if you were born in the Yukon, can you imagine like going to New York City for your first time? Like,
Cale Riv was born in the Yukon.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What was his parents doing out there?
I don't know.
He just showed up. Like, was he in an orphanage or something?
No, I think his dad like shot bears or something. I'm not actually, but I don't know what his dad did. But like, I feel like he'd be the kind of guy who would be like a bear hunter, like protector of the town, like rogue bears.
If Cale Riv is watching or is going to watch this later, leave us a comment. Why were you in the Yukon? What was your dad shooting bears? Probably polar bears at that point up there. Well, I mean, I guess I've heard of stories now where like the polar bears are losing their homes because the Arctic's melting, so they go into towns and start eating people.
Yeah,
so
maybe he was doing that.
Yeah.
I think I'm mixing him up with another kid. This kid named Matt Gordon. His dad moved to Quebec. The whole family moved to Quebec so they could hunt bears or something.
Well, if you ever look on Google Maps and you look at Quebec, Quebec goes almost all the way up to the Arctic Circle. Like, because if you look on Google Maps, like Ontario and Quebec both border right around, I believe it's James Bay, like that.
Yeah.
In the Hudson's Bay, like it's way up there.
Polar Bear City. Yeah.
So like it's crazy to think like how much land is up there that is like Arctic. That's technically only has French as its official language.
That's really cool. And no one speaks it there because no one's there.
Yeah, because it's all just a bunch of natives up there.
It's all French, but no one's there.
Do you think we have any? Do you think we have any communities up there in Canada that are still like just like untouched by Western civilization? Like, do you think there's any natives out there that haven't been contacted yet? Because like
no, I don't. Well, maybe I feel like they live in communities, but like they probably don't see a lot of contact from the outside world. But like I'm sure they had been at some point contacted or like observed or like they wouldn't go unnoticed.
Well, can you imagine like because I know that as of today there are still somewhere, maybe not in Canada, but in the world there are still some civilizations that have been untouched.
In South America, I think there still is.
And just what do they think when they see a plane go over them? Like they must.
I watched a movie like that.
Really?
They fly like this yellow. It's a movie, so it's not like real life. But they fly this yellow plane over. It's like a pontoon boat or something over this like jungle. The natives call it like the wood-bee, the giant wood-bee. So they're like freaking out when they see it, and the guys get out of the plane for the first time and they throw a spear through them. And it's based on a true story.
Wow.
But coolest place I ever traveled to. I did want to say that. I just kind of forgot.
Let the people know.
So this summer, me and my cousins and a couple friends drove to out east. We went to this place called Meat Cove, which it has a lot of like it's like a really, really remote spot in the northern part of Cape Breton. It's like this big hill with like mountains surrounding it, and then a big bay like full of seals and rocks. It's really cool, and you can camp right out on these rocks that go out over the water. And it's like $80 first come first serve. So if you show up, you pay $80 to get a campsite. If you don't, you have to drive back like half an hour to get to the next highway.
And it's called Meat Cove?
Meat Cove. And it's called that.
Like beef meat? Or
yeah, like meat. Well, it's called Meat Cove because...
Like to meet you there? Or to like,
no, like
literally
meat.
like an animal. Okay.
Because what they would do on this hill back in the day is they would catch moose and deer and seals and whatever, and they'd kill them. And then they would bleed them down these rocks. That's what I heard while I was there from some locals. And I also heard, so sorry if any locals are watching, but I also heard most of the town is like, there's a lot of inbreeding going on.
That's what happens when you're in a small community.
But we had a blast there. There's like this chowder hut on top of the hill near the campsite, and they serve like really good chowder that they catch in the bay. And we also like swam out. There's like great whites that swim in there and like seals. But like a bunch of us like swam out in our jeans to these like rocks, like out in the water, and it was like pretty scary because like we saw seals in the water while we were swimming.
Swimming in your jeans is scary enough.
Yeah, because you could just like sink right to the bottom.
And sharks love jean.
Yeah, it's the same material that they're made of.
Yeah, the sharks are made of jean.
Yeah,
denim.
That's like their
Canadian sharks, at least.
Yeah, that's the inside of them is made out of jean.
Well, part of the gene pool.
The pool of the ocean.
Well, so when was it that you were in Meat Pool? What was it called again?
Meat Pool.
Meat Pool.
Meat Cove.
Meat Cove Pool.
August the 10th. No, it was some day in August. And yeah. So and the campsites were awesome because you're just like on this big grassy hill with like no trees. So you're just hanging out and it's like really windy and really awesome. We had fires going and you're like right at a cliff. And then at night we did this hike to watch the sunset and hang out for a bit. And it's like way up on this mountain. So you climb up this mountain, which is like the most tiring thing I've ever done. And at the top is just like a big grassy plain with blueberries everywhere. Blueberries.
Yeah, shout out to Shane Smith, our favorite blueberry.
The best blueberry of them all. Shane Smith used to wear a blue coat, and some people would call him Blueberry.
Well, with Shane Smith, anytime that he would come to school and he'd be wearing a different colored shirt, we'd always try to like call him whatever fruit that color was. So if he was wearing red, we'd call him Shane, that big strawberry or big raspberry. And if he was wearing green, Shane, you big apple.
Yeah, like, green apple. Yeah, Granny Smith.
And I remember one day he came to school and he said, well, so it was our friend Tyler. Shout out to Tyler Decker. He was always like, Tyler was always bugging Shane, always picking whatever fruit it was that it could bug him. And the only reason he bugged him is because it got a rise out of him. So he's like, well,
he didn't mean anything by it, but Shane would always get a little mad. And so Tyler thought it was funny because it was kind of funny.
Yeah, he always want to like just teach him a lesson, like hey, you got to learn not to be so aggravated about things like this. So the one day Shane came wearing a gray sweater, and he thought like, oh, I'm gonna get them today.
Yeah, I remember that
sweater. That's great. But what are you gonna call me now? And then Tyler was just like, Shane, you big grape. And that was the day that Shane never was the same.
I remember the one day though when he was wearing the blueberry jacket. We were walking back from 7-Eleven on lunch break, and Tyler was just like going off about him being a blueberry and just saying like.
And then I think Shane poured a Slurpee.
He took a Slurpee and
7-Eleven Slurpee all
just
over
like tapped it all over his bag and dumped it down his back. And Tyler was like, "Wow,
yeah.
like whatever."
Yeah, wow. What is your biggest motivation for making music? Like, what is it that makes you want to? I mean, you're very talented, and like anyone that's talented in any kind of an art needs to do whatever they can to create that art, because there's people like me who aren't as creative when it comes to making music. So what is it that keeps you driven?
I don't know. Like for me, like I get a lot of ideas like throughout the day. It's kind of like if my head's like the internet, it's like new tabs keep getting open, but I haven't finished the last tab, and it's like keeps going. So I just need to start like making stuff. Like otherwise I go crazy. Like it drives me nuts to have projects that are unfinished and I start getting frustrated. And like when it comes to like audio, like recording music and stuff like that, I hear a lot of background noises most of the time. And like a lot of the guys in our family have sort of like some sort of ADD or ADHD or whatever. And I don't know what I have. I haven't been tested or anything, but like I hear a lot of background sounds and I mix music kind of the way I hear things. So I place emphasis on like, I don't know, especially like nature sounds. I really like to record nature sounds when I'm hiking or walking places. That's like my favorite.
I remember I always had this thought that like every song that was ever created and every song that is ever going to be created was part of this alternate universe. And that this universe had every possible combination of notes, every length of a note corresponds with another note. That like basically every song that has been made or is ever going to be made exists in this universe. And that our goal is to be able to use our minds to try to take from that universe and bring it to ours to be able to share with everyone else.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Yeah, like music is like good music is like an escape. It has to be a form of escape. Like, and I think that you definitely like draw things from another dimension. I know like when I play music, like if I'm playing music that I really enjoy, or like that's like true, honest music, not just like garbage, like radio shit that you would hear. But like, can I say shit on the
Yeah,
snowball?
You can say shit, fuck, cunt, whatever you want.
I don't want to say that one, but
right, whatever you want.
Just like garbage stuff that you hear on the radio, that's like they have no emotion, but they know that it's like the right formula for people to be able to dance to it. It's like whatever, and like people are talking about these issues, so we're gonna sing about them. But like when it's like really coming from your heart, like a song can be like 2 hours long. It could be like a lot of times when I'm playing music, I'll like just totally zone out. Like it puts me in a trance, and I think that music has to do that for you. Like, or even like if you're hanging out listening to music, it doesn't have to do that, but like it definitely fills in space and like calms you down. Like music is like more potent than a lot of drugs, I think, and like one of the most useful things in the world.
Well, it's funny you compare it to a drug. Like I guess when I think of a drug, I think of like how it spreads, how it affects the individual, and then how that goes to other people. Like because unless you're some guy that's sitting in your basement, you conjure some like brand new drug on your own, and you're the only one that takes it. Like it's always that like other people end up adapting it, and it's the same thing with music. That like if you create a new drug, a new type of music, and you go out and you share with other people, it's kind of funny to look, and like I'm sure every scientist that's ever created a new type of like a pharmaceutical creating a new drug, they'll want to know how addictive this new substance might be, and like you can kind of think of music in the same way. That like how effective is it in whatever goal you might have set? Like some drug makers might have the idea that I want to reduce the prevalence of diabetes in people or something, and then for you it might be I want to try to like alleviate pain in people's lives, or I want to try to like bring this emotion among them, or like I want to open their eyes to this thought or this feeling. And like that is something you want to check. Like when you write a new song, I know you've been doing a lot of those like friendship circle kind of recordings. Yeah, you have a lot of friends recording things and you mix it together.
Yeah,
like is that something that's really like apparent to you? Like you want to check to see how far it's reached, or like do you have a way of like checking those metrics to see how many people listen?
I haven't. I would like to sign up for some sort of a Spotify or something like that.
It's time for our third and final beer. We're going with our
Guinness World Cup.
Shout out to my friend Becca Band in Europe. Who's, I'm not drinking a Guinness now. I don't know if you're even watching right now or when you are later. But yeah, you commented last time I had a Guinness in my first episode. So there's a weird way to pour Guinness. Everyone thinks you do it wrong, but you're supposed to pour it right upside down, just about an inch away.
And then it overflows.
And my glass is too small, so it's going to overflow. So
get the cascade going in. I'll just drink the rest out of here.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, is that something
thanks, by the way.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, what was the question?
When you create new music, like how concerned are you with how far it reaches?
I am actually like pretty concerned. Like right now I'm just kind of focused on getting ideas, like old ideas done, because I didn't know where to put a lot of I've been recording music since I was like 12. We like me and my brother and like our cousins started on like using like like digital cameras to record our songs. So we would like set it up and just like make really random songs about like whatever, like Star Wars. And then we were like, oh, this is amazing. And then we had these sitting around. So we like wanted to release these things. So now we have like a tape website. Like we have like cassette tapes that we've transferred online, as well as CDR, which is like our main form of putting music out. But it's very like exclusive right now. And what I'd like to do is transfer it onto like Spotify or some other platform like that. We just started a YouTube channel, but yeah, we definitely want people to hear our stuff and like start exploring it. But a lot of our stuff is also like definitely an acquired taste. Like there's some pretty I know you're on a few of the recordings. You're on the Christmas Friendship Circle we did, singing your little blues ballad.
Do you know what the URL is of your YouTube? Or you can always give it back and I'll put it up on later for people watching at a later
I'll give it to you later.
All right.
Yeah. I know the channel name, but there's not too much on there right now. But our Bandcamp has like, I think it's like 45 releases or something. It's like something around that, like a lot of releases going back to like when we were in elementary school all the way until now. But we've been the busiest the last 2 years, and I know like Stuart Smith has been putting out some music under us, like trap beats, stuff like that. And then me and Tyler Decker have been doing some like psychedelic recordings.
With like, I know Tyler likes the little synthesizer.
Yeah, he's good on the synth.
For him to learn.
The nice thing about Tyler playing is he doesn't have much of a musical background. So like he doesn't have much of a musical background. So like when he plays, he comes up with totally new stuff that I would never like think to use, and so it's like really unique.
Yeah, because you're probably looking from like your common tools of like what you've learned or like what works well with what you're currently doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's coming from like a completely improvised world of music. That's cool. And then you can take what he brings and you can kind of try to add your filter on top of that.
Exactly. Yeah, and then try to like find like common ground between the two projects. It's just like fun. And like with Friendship Circle, it's just hilarious because we'll like set up a mic in like a burned down house or something and have like a party and just like play like recorders and flutes and
where was the burned down house?
That's Corey Bloom's house.
Right.
I'm sorry guys. Your house
sorry your house burned down, but it works as a really good place to record some amazing music for the team.
That one turned out the worst because everyone was pretty like
drunk
on the moon.
Yeah,
it was fun. Shane was there too. Shane Smith,
I hope you're one of the people watching right now.
Yeah. No, we had a really good time there. I'm trying to think of one of the other places that worked really well. We did it in like
garage worked well.
Yeah, that worked well. For Christmas, we had a little party in our garage.
It's kind of nice when you do it outside somewhere to have that natural like kind of ambience as well. Like
get the fire crackling,
a cricket in the background.
Yeah,
let Mother Nature have its part.
Yeah, exactly.
If there were no obstacles at all for any kind of like a job that you would want, what kind of position would you want to have? Like, and let's say this is what you have to do the rest of your life. What would you want to do?
I don't know. I think that I'd be an astronaut. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't be an astronaut, but I would. I think that recording music for like games, like video games, like indie games, stuff like that. Recording music would be pretty cool. I'm like working towards that right now because I spend so much time mixing music, anyways, like electronic stuff. And I don't know. I think that there's definitely potential to like make a label out of our project that we're working on right now. But I think I would just play music.
Well, I mean, you're doing that already, which is awesome. Like
but making money, enough money.
It's all about
that I don't need to
fill in that bank account.
Yeah.
I just wonder. There's so many people out there who are doing who knows what when they want to be doing something else, and like at least I'm glad that you're doing that. Like what you're passionate about, even though that's maybe not what it's like. Fill in the bank account. Like I'm glad that's something you're reaching out to do.
Yeah, but I've never been too worried about that. I mean, like sometimes there's like you've got to pay for things. Sometimes you have to pay for things. I don't have a car right now. I haven't had a car for a couple of years, so I've been riding a bicycle and helping pay for my dad's truck and driving that.
Yeah,
but like when you don't have too much debt hanging over your head, you don't really have to worry about too much. I mean, things will change down the road. I shouldn't be doing that right now. Because I don't know. Right now, I'm in a place where I don't need to worry about things too much, but I'm graduating in a couple of months. So
yeah, well, I mean that's exciting. I mean, you've been able to continue your passion on throughout that whole time. I mean, I see a lot of people that get into university, they get into like almost like a rut of like need to focus on this, need to like do what's important, need to do what's going to keep me well fed for the next few years, and then they end up losing what they're passionate about. Like for example, for me, like when I got to university, I wasn't skateboarding or longboarding as much as I was. And, like there was a point in time back in high school when I was literally competing, like I was competitive with longboarding, like doing races lake to lake, doing slide competitions in Toronto and things like that. As soon as university hit, I thought like, oh, okay, well that was fun. I had my chance, but now it's time to like focus down on school. Yeah. And even though I boarded here and there, it still wasn't the same. Like I still didn't have the same dedication or like the same drive as I did before. So it's really cool to see that you're still doing that. And even, as we speak, like today on April 9th, you were still going out and making music. And, I hope that you continue with that too. Cause I mean, like I said, like I'm not as gifted when it comes, like I play guitar and drums, but I definitely don't have as much of a gift. Like it takes a lot more for me, I feel, to be able to like make something compared to you. It just, in comparison to me, it seems like, I know it probably takes a lot of work still, but
yeah, well, it's kind of like an obsession. Like I've always found you to be a really ambitious individual. And I think that you just kind of put it in different areas, right? So like you're very good at other things, and like for me, I'm just kind of obsessed And I don't know if it's going to make me money, but like I'm doing it and I'm enjoying myself.
Well, I think that's what's a cool thing is like you don't have those things to worry you. I mean, like if you lost your job and you got kicked out of school tomorrow, like you at least have your family, like you have a really close knit family from what it looks like, and that's a huge bonus in life, like to know that you have that to fall back on, and like you're so very comfortable because a lot of people our age are just so worried about like needing to do whatever they can to get ahead, can't fall behind. It's the rat race, got to beat everyone else, got to be better than everyone else. And like, I'm very guilty of that myself. And like, you're someone to look up to say like, to look at you and to think like, you are so relaxed. You're going at your own pace. You're not worrying about anyone else's pace, but you're doing what makes you happy. I mean, like, just look at how much hair you still have on your head. Like you're doing well. You're not stressed out.
My dad's like pretty bald. So.
Well, I mean, maybe he was worried about the rat race.
He had big hair though back in the day. But yeah,
shout out to Carrie if you're watching at home.
Cheers, Papa. I went for coffee with them today.
Where'd you guys go?
Went to Balzac. Shout out to Balzac.
It's Balzac's coffee. They got good coffee, that place.
Yep. Every time I go, I get the double macchiato and a brownie.
Like, I'm not a coffee guy. Macchiato is like
it's kind of
espresso.
Yeah, it's basically like espresso.
Is it got chocolate in it?
No, but I get a brownie to fill that chocolate void.
That's what you need. So we're already done an hour. I just have a few more questions I want to rifle through and a few other things I want to comment on because I know you have somewhere to go at 7:00. But what are you wanting to learn this year? Like, what is your goal for something to acquire? Some sort of knowledge that you felt you had a gap on that you want to be able to fill this year?
I definitely want to. I need to like learn more about technology to progress because I'm pretty at it. Like I'm definitely at a standstill with like the equipment I use. But I think I don't know. I just like to understand people more, get to know my friends better, just spend a lot of time with people who I interact with on a regular basis. And I don't know. I find like learning from other people helps me understand myself a little better. I don't know. I learn more about mushrooms and find out which ones I can eat.
Like psychedelic mushrooms?
No, like normal mushrooms.
Yeah.
Just like normally eat it. Because I don't know, I'm really into like foraging for mushrooms, but like one time I ate them and I got really sick. So
like you want to find like wild mushrooms that are edible? You want to get really good at that?
Yeah, like I've done it before and I've eaten them before and been okay, but like there's been times where I've gotten sick from it. And I'd like to know like exactly what I'm picking before I die.
I guess that's a good thing. Like at least you got the internet there to look those things up and find out what's good and what's not so good.
I'm trying to think of something like more practical though.
Well, like so another question that relates to this is like, do you have any New Year's resolutions? Like, or if you don't now, like what was your thoughts on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve?
Definitely drink less beer. And I've been doing that pretty good. I mean
except for today.
Yeah, but I haven't been drinking for a while now, like which has been good. Just like I'll have beer on the weekend. Not that I like would get hammered or anything, but like I would probably just for like my health's sake, like I would probably have a beer or two every day. And I mean, that adds up.
You're looking good on the outside. I don't know what's going on your inside.
No, I don't know. I'm just being overly critical, maybe, but
no. I mean, that's a fine goal to have, though. I mean, we both know people in our life that have been able to abuse alcohol a bit, and it's something you don't want to ever go down that road. So I mean, it's definitely worthwhile having that kind of a goal, even if it's not something that like might be a big challenge right now. Knowing that it could be a challenge in the future, you want to be able to overcome that now to give you that confidence in the future.
Yeah, just like prove yourself you don't need it.
Yeah, to be independent of the substance. So I know I fully respect that.
But I think most of our friends have like a healthy relationship with drinking. Like just kind of we're more social.
Yeah, we could probably both think of some people who probably depend on it. And that's the second you're dependent on anything is when it's bad, unless it's water and food. There's certain things you just can't help but be dependent on.
Yeah.
Is the earth flat? Yes or no?
Well, I would say no, but I have heard theories that it's actually pie shaped like a slice of pie because they only take certain routes around the earth when they're flying a plane.
Yeah.
And I found that interesting. But when you look at the moon and you kind of look at other things in space, you start to believe that the Earth is round.
I'm glad you brought that up. So my next question is space fake? Is it just in our minds? Is it just something that the government has put upon us?
No, I think space is real. I think the moon landing was faked because they were in a race against the Soviets.
Yeah, I took that question off. Is the moon landing?
Because you knew I would say that.
No. Well, no, I had that before. I was like, these people don't care.
Yeah, but it is though. Like you can say like it's just a matter of fact that it was faked.
Do you think that aliens exist? And if so, do you think that they have contacted us in one way or another?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, yeah, well, I don't know. Like, if you look at the pyramids,
they're just the way that they point so perfectly towards the north, like to the exact degree.
Yeah, it's crazy. Or I think people were also more focused back then. Like, people knew what they're doing. More people now are pretty confused. Yeah, people are really confused. They're very, like, I don't know. Yeah. But if you look at like the moon, on the dark side of the moon, there's a place called the Ryder Crater. I think it's on the dark side of the moon. It could be like just lying right now or just like making it up. But there's a pyramid on that crater that I've seen photos of on the internet that could be completely photoshopped. But I think they're real.
Well, we're gonna have to go up there and check that.
Yeah, so we could do that next week.
If you got a ticket to space, like let's say SpaceX, like Elon Musk gave you a call and said we randomly select you out of the 7 billion people on Earth to go to the moon for free, would you do it?
And back?
Yeah.
Without any chance of explosions?
Well, there's still a chance. Like, I mean, I don't know how many people have gone to the moon in our lifetime, but some people have died. But would you do it? Like you're the only one, maybe out of 10 people of the whole world. Would you go to space?
I feel like everyone around me would be like, yeah, do it. But
your mom would probably say stay home.
Yeah, my mom would me stay home. But I also really like just like planet Earth, you know.
Well, it's
I really need like
it's the most livable planet. Yeah, we're used to green space, not that.
Yeah, I don't want fake oxygen. I don't know. It would be cool to see it, but I feel like once you're there, you're like, oh, this is pretty bleak. Like, I'd like to go home now.
Do you think that aliens exist?
Yeah, I think definitely because they've already found organisms in space. I think that I saw on a TV show when I was a kid, and I could have been.
We'll have to check with our producers on that one.
Yeah, I say a lot of things that like I've heard somewhere, but I don't know. I can't like cite it for you like it's a journal like I've had to do for the past 4 years.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get that. We got to get a full-time producer on. Right now, it's pretty much just us.
Just saying things. I'm just like, yeah, just making things up.
The other thing I want to mention is like just some local politics going on. Like, you know, that new neighborhood that's over by St. David's, like the one that's behind like the cold storage there. So I guess the guy who owns that cold storage there, he put these like really big like cooling units on the back of the cold storage, and the people who live on the other side are really upset right now because like they can't sleep at night, like it's super loud right there, and they have like these new bills there, and like we did put in place a noise bylaw that you're not allowed to have like a certain amount of decibels at certain times of the day, and there's a lot of people in that neighborhood that are like really getting upset, and like nothing's happened with council. So I promised someone I would mention that today, so anyone who's watching, that is an issue going on in town. I'm sure there's going to be probably some movement or some more correspondence with that, talking about what can be done to help deal with that. You know, I wouldn't want to live next to a cooling unit either, especially if it's really loud. I like to sleep at night. So sorry for anyone that has to live with that, and hopefully that our council can do something to help alleviate some of those issues, and maybe they can get Trump up here to build a wall between you and those cooling units to help you know, keep things a little bit quieter. But in all seriousness, yeah, that's very unfortunate. I hope that you guys are able to win your battle and find a way to be able to enjoy the property that you've saved your entire life for to purchase and to live in, to be able to live peacefully there. So, you know, power to you.
Yeah, put a sock in it.
Yeah, put a sock on that cold storage unit.
Yeah.
Well, before we tune off, I just want to ask, like, is there any, like you said tonight you're going to some event downtown for your brother?
Yeah, my brother's doing like a movie screening with his class at the Maryland I. Walker, where we go to school. And I don't know what it's about, but it's about something, and it's going to be awesome.
It's about something. So anyone who wants to see something downtown St. Catharines, Niagara, Ontario, Canada, world.
And I'll be there 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. just hanging out, probably having a coffee or maybe having another beer. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, this is number 3. See how we're doing.
Yeah, probably just have coffee.
Well, I mean, yeah.
It is Tuesday.
Yeah, it's still Tuesday. Fuck. Well, yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Definitely want to have you back anytime I can. I mean, I've got still a whole bunch of other questions and can't wait. I think as long as all goes well, we're going to be having Simon Wall, Evan Wiens' cousin, here on Thursday to expand our minds a little bit further. And thanks for all those who stayed online for as long as we've been on here, a whole hour, 9 minutes and 8 seconds. So yeah, thank you so much. And if I'm going to put some information about Evan Wiens, if you want to follow him on, he's got Instagram, he's got Facebook, or if you just want to follow him along the streets, he'll be there too.
Yep, I walk everywhere. So
perfect. All right, take it easy, everyone. Peace.